Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And for those of you who are new, my name is Joshua.
And I'm Alex Orlando.
And today we're talking about the 5 things that we learned while growing out our hair.
So, first thing that I think we can both agree that we learned, growing out your hair is an absolutely massive journey for your confidence. And I think it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Growing your hair is such a long-winded process. And I think for most guys, they usually start off with a buzz cut, they start off with a fade. And usually at that point, they're just ready to try something different. And I think normally when you decide that you want to try long hair, you don't necessarily realize just how much of a commitment it's going to be. You don't necessarily realize that you're going to have to go through the awkward phase along the way. And within that awkward phase, you possibly don't consider that there's going to be a lot of people telling you that you don't actually look as good as you think you do. Or there's going to be a lot of people telling you that they kind of think you should get a haircut straight away. I always think it's really interesting how working as a coach in the way that I do, confidence is this massively misunderstood thing. People think that you're either a confident person or you're not a confident person. And the reality is that we're all confident in different scenarios. We're all confident in different things that we do in life. And for me, when you're talking about growing your hair, you have to just put it as it's just a different category. It's just a different challenge. And the benefit that you get, firstly, in being comfortable with yourself during the awkward phase and during the whole prey phase, when you have days where you don't necessarily like the way that your hair looks, is so beneficial to confidence in other aspects of your life, because you have to make peace with something that doesn't necessarily feel as good as you'd like it to. So normally the confidence that you get during the growing phase and during the awkward phase tends to really transpire into other elements of your life as well.
I completely agree with Alex that self-confidence and building confidence while growing out your hair is probably one of the first and most major things I learned. When I had short hair, I felt really confident in that look. I'd had that look for quite a while. You know, I always had the same hairstyle every single day, and I felt confident in who I was and how I looked. But as my hair grew out, I somewhat started to lose that confidence because I didn't feel so great with my hair every single day. I began to question the decision I had made to grow my hair out, and I did have a few people start to tell me, your hair doesn't look as good or you should get it cut. But one thing I didn't realize is, like Alex said, confidence is something that you have to choose every single day to say, I feel confident in the decision I've made to grow my hair out, where my hair is at this point, and I feel confident in who I am as a person.
So the second thing that I learned about growing my hair is that you have to become very comfortable in the present moment. I think this one actually hit me just completely by surprise when I started growing it. When you decide you want to grow your hair, I don't think you necessarily realize just how far away your ideal hair will be. And I, like every single other guy with wavy hair when I first started, I wanted Jon Snow's hair out of Game of Thrones. A year later, I finally had it, but that year felt a lot longer than I expected it to do. And I think it's a very interesting point to make. Society nowadays is very much geared towards instant gratification. And you only have to look at the moment with the pandemic, just how much Amazon sales have completely blown up. You can order something from Amazon, within the next day it's arrived at your house. We're told, and we really get this idea that is what we should get. The minute we want something, that thing is ours. And it is exactly the same when it comes to growing your hair. You decide you want long hair and you think it's going to take a matter of months and not necessarily a matter of years or necessarily 2 years or however long it may be. But what's really exciting when you're growing your hair, you have to get very comfortable with the days where you don't necessarily look as good as you'd like to. So you might have a day where you wake up and you look in your mirror and you think, kind of looking a little bit ugly today. Then the next day you look in the mirror and you think, actually, I kind of like it. It's kind of working for me. But what is so powerful about getting comfortable in the present moment and getting used to the fact that what you want is going to take a while away, again, it radiates and it goes to other areas of your life. So you become very comfortable in learning to wait for things. You become very comfortable in living your life without necessarily looking as good as you'd like to. But fundamentally, it's just that ability to separate the need to have something now that is so applicable to growing your hair.
So for me, my inspiration when I started growing out my hair was Jason Momoa and those long, luscious locks that he has. But one thing I did not realize was how long it would actually take to get there. And when I started off, I was so focused on reaching my goal that I was not content with where I was at in my hair growth journey. And just like we spoke about self-confidence, not being content with my hair growth and where my hair was at led to me not feeling confident. Learning to be confident and content in where I was at every single day of my hair growth, realizing that I'll eventually get to that inspiration or that goal that I have, but being okay with the moment helped me to get through growing out my hair and those awkward days where I really didn't feel like I had it. That's what helps give me that confidence and the ability to be able to say, today I don't look so good, tomorrow will probably be better. And the third thing that we have learned while growing out our hair is that things may not go as planned. So you've been growing your hair, you're inspired by someone who has long hair, and you're 6 months in, and things are okay. And then another 6 months go by, and you realize my hair looks nothing like the person who inspired me to grow out my hair in the first place. Either it's really curly, maybe it's really straight, maybe it's got a lot of wave, or it flares out, or does things that you don't want it to do, or you didn't expect it to do, and now you're thinking, well, I just put all this time into this and it's not going as planned. One thing I learned about my hair growth journey was that things don't go as planned. Like I said, Jason Momoa was a huge inspiration for me when starting out my hair, and I really wanted my hair to look like his. But as my hair started growing out, it got this strange wave that no matter what I did with a straightener or a blow dryer, anything I did, it wasn't working like I wanted it to, and my hair wasn't looking like I wanted it to. It wasn't getting that messy kind of lived-in look that I wanted, and I was thinking, have I wasted all this time growing out my hair to realize it's never gonna look like what I wanted it to back when my hair was short? And one thing I'll say I learned about being content and self-confident is that just because things don't go as planned doesn't mean that you should just quit altogether and give up. I actually had a lot of people who said that they loved the way my hair flared out and asked how I styled like that, which made me realize that as I was going on, yes, my plans weren't happening the way I wanted them to, but there were a lot of people who liked my hair for what it was, and it made me realize that it's okay that my plans didn't work out. My hair is still pretty sweet as it is.
So I think it's really interesting that you referenced the Jason Momoa thing. I think probably every single guy, when they decide that they want to grow their hair, has Jason Momoa at some point in their mind. But this is obviously a really, really bad approach to take. Not because there's anything wrong with Jason Momoa at all, but just simply because you can't predict the way that you're going to look. You can't predict anything in life, and you especially can't predict the way your hair is going to look when you've never ever had your hair at that particular length. And there is a intrinsic need within us all to compare ourselves with other people. And the reason we do this is just because we don't know where we stand with something. And you think, how is that possible to do that when it comes to growing your hair? But it is absolutely possible. You mentioned just then the wings that you were getting. You don't know that there wasn't a dude that saw you out in a bar or saw you in the gym that looked at those wings and thought, fuck, I wish I could have the wings that guy over there's got. And I think it is great that things don't necessarily go the way that they planned, because you end up with something that is, firstly, only something that you can have, but it's also, you end up with something that is consistently evolving and consistently changing along the way. Just then you referenced that you wanted your hair to have more of that lived-in kind of look. I never expected my hair to have the lived-in look that it does have now, but I think it's great that it's got it now. And I would never have thought that would be something that I could have. And I would never have thought that was something that I would even want to have. But now having my hair look like that, I think to myself, I'm so glad that it does. And I never would have planned that. And that's been the fun, and that's been the surprise of getting my hair to that point. So the fourth thing that I learned when I was growing my hair was about just simply that you have to learn to play a waiting game. And again, I think this links back to the idea about being okay with being in the present moment. But this one is really, really interesting for me as well. So we all think that everything in life has a made it point, and we all think that the minute we get to a certain point, things in life are going to change. And I certainly thought when I first started growing my hair that the minute my hair got long, life was going to change. I thought women were going to look at me in a different way, and I thought I'd suddenly open up this new world that I didn't even realize that I necessarily had before. Reality is, one day my hair just got long, then further down the line it was a little bit longer, and now I'm just a guy with long hair. And I mention this really just because you have to be okay with the waiting game, because when you have that point where your hair's suddenly the length that you want it to be, nothing else is ever really, really going to change. But the benefit of playing the waiting game, learning the waiting game, and being okay with not necessarily being at the point that you want is great, because again, that transfers into lots of other aspects of your life. And I always look back to when I first started my hair growth journey, and I started growing my hair with 3 guys from the gym. And all three of them literally cut their hair within 2 months because they couldn't deal with having longer hair. They couldn't deal with the awkward phase, and they couldn't even deal with having a little bit of hair on the side that went beyond a fade. And this is really, really interesting to me too, just because it really shows a common cycle that I think a lot of guys get into. They want long hair, they try it, they give up. They want long hair, they try it, they give up. And I think it's really easy to see why people give up on long hair so easily. If you want long hair, you have to wait to get the look that you want. If you want a different short haircut, you can look on Instagram, look on Pinterest, wherever it may be, and within 10 minutes, you've probably found a haircut that you want. You can be at the barbershop within an hour, have the haircut done, and be home within an hour and a half, and you're happy with the result. With long hair, you can't do that. You have to wait. You have to wait for your hair to have enough length to get the look that it wants. And I think that that is a difficult challenge, and I think it's one that probably stops a lot of guys necessarily getting to the point that they want to get to. But as I've said to several people, and as I say to those guys that I started my hair growth journey with, the result of where I'm at has been so worthwhile. And I am so glad that I stuck it out, and I'm so glad that I played the waiting game.
I was one of those guys who grew their hair out multiple times and then could never actually finish the waiting game. I'd get to 6 or 7 months, whoever inspired me no longer inspired me, and all I thought about was I wasn't where I wanted to be. I thought this would be a lot quicker, and I'd cut it off. Fortunately, I made it through this time, and I can 100% agree with Alex that it is a waiting game to get to where you want to. And even when you get there, it's not like the skies are gonna open and everything's just gonna be amazing. Life didn't change for me once I hit 1 year, which was my original goal. It kind of just kept going. Yeah, I did get some comments here and there like, oh, your hair looks so sweet, but nothing really changed for me other than that I had long hair. And even then, my goal of 1 year then turned into a goal of 2 years. So the waiting game I played to get all the way there and finally finished just turned into another waiting game of realizing that at a year, okay, my hair isn't really where I want it to be. So guess I gotta wait another year to see if it gets where I want it to be. So yes, long hair is a waiting game, but I've learned, just like everything else we've talked about, that's okay. And the fifth and final thing that we have both learned while growing out our hair is that your hair is unique. So you've heard Alex and I both reference inspirations often, or things that don't go as planned with your hair, or how there's an evolution with your hair growth and how things change from month to month, day to day, year to year. And one thing I've really learned with my hair growth journey is that my hair is unique, and that's great. Because to be honest, at the end of the day, I don't want to just be a carbon copy of Jason Momoa or any other person that may have inspired me to grow out my hair. I want to be me, myself. And one thing that's great about learning that my hair is unique through this hair growth process is I would not have learned it had I not grown out my hair and just kept my hair short. I wouldn't have learned that my hair has a wavy style to it because when my hair was short, it didn't have that wave or curl that it has now. So even though my hair didn't turn out like Jason Momoa's and it's wavy and curly in ways that I thought it never would be when I had short hair, there are most likely people out there who look at my hair and say, man, I want to have hair like that, and are inspired by my hair and decide to grow it out.
So you say that your hair may not have turned out exactly the way that you wanted to. And what I think is really interesting to say at that particular point, it may be that your hair turns out a lot better than you think it's going to be. So just then as well, you mentioned your hair having a wave that you didn't necessarily realize that it had. I was the opposite way round. I knew from a very, very early age that I had curly hair because when I was at school, people used to say negative comments about it. So it was always one of my biggest reservations when it came to growing my hair was I don't necessarily think I'm going to like the fact that my hair's got a little bit of a curl to it. Suddenly my hair gets long and I think, actually, I'm quite glad it's got a little bit of a curl to it. I'm quite liking it. So it really doesn't matter what you think your hair is going to look like, and it really doesn't matter if it is unique because it's not something that you can change. And we've spoken a lot about confidence. And really, confidence is going to come from being okay with things being exactly the way that they are. And confidence is going to come from you being completely okay with how your hair looks as well. And I always think about this as well. Style is a really, really fascinating thing. And you can try and look like other people. You can try and take pieces away from other people's style that you think will suit you. But what invariably happens is you don't end up doing that. But what tends to happen is, as a result of doing that, you create your own style. And style changes all the time, so there's no point in following other people and there's no point in following trends because invariably, by the time you've nailed that trend or you've nailed that style, you're probably going to have moved on from it, and the world of style is going to have moved on from it as well. So when it comes to growing your hair, it's important to remember exactly the same thing. You may look at someone and think, oh, I want that. But by the time you've got that, it may be out of fashion, or it may not be something that you want anymore. But the one thing that will never go out of fashion, and the one thing that will never, ever, ever be copied, is your unique style. And part of your unique style will be your unique hair as well. So it's definitely something to fully embrace.
And those are the 5 things that Alex and I learned while growing out our hair. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informational. If you did at all, do not forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hop on over to Alex's channel and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit this subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can get updates on when I'm uploading my next video. Thanks for watching.